and I had a brief conversation. I mean, I don't, I, you know, I mean, I know you like coming on sometimes. I mean, do you really like it all the time?
It's always entertaining. How's that?
Well, I want to start off with a little bit of bad news, I guess, with regard to Chris Sale yesterday. How high is your concern level there?
The good thing about this long term, there isn't a reason to be concerned because, we know what the injury is. It will heal, and then we can crank him back up there. The concern really is just in terms of, that it stinks to have him miss time. The plus side of this, like I said, not a long-term concern, but the minus is that, you have to respect that this is a bone that needs to heal. And with where we are in the calendar and the fact that it's going to be a little bit of time before we can get him throwing again, that is going to take him out of some regular season action. Exactly how much we don't know yet. We're obviously hopeful that this will heal quickly, and it's already feeling better than when he first reported it to us, but there's only so much you can do to help with, a bone healing. So, that part stinks. We'd obviously like to have him out there wire to wire. We're not going to. But, all we can do is, make sure we're in as good a position as we can be when he's ready to roll.
Chaim, every year it brings, new expectations. And I think for fans around here, the expectations with the Red Sox are, championship or bust. That's what you guys have created for us, and that's a good thing to have. When you look at this Chris Sale situation, some of the issues that you had last year were about that rotation. Now he's going to be out for a minute. Is there a chance that maybe you guys make a move and we see you bring in a guy towards the rotation that could potentially help because of you don't know how long Chris Sale's going to be out?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we would be exploring those things regardless of whether he was out or not, because, that's what we're going to do is we're going to pursue all avenues to make the team better as long as they make sense. It is part of why we brought in some of the guys that we did before the lockout. We have a couple guys that we know we want to put more innings on, stretch out, give them a chance to increase their roles, in Tanner and Garrett. And we also wanted to make sure that we had veteran presence that could help them along and not put too much on them. And so that left us with really more potential starter candidates than spots. And this is why you do that sort of thing, so that you can weather these bumps and bruises. Now, look, if there's chances to go out and add to that group, we want to do that. We obviously want to do it in a context that makes sense and something that's going to fit what we're trying to do, which is what you laid out, which is to be able to meet those expectations, put a team that can meet those expectations every single year. So, Chris being out obviously, makes that addition maybe a little more valuable, but it's something we'd be looking to do anyway because we always want to fortify the group.
What is the philosophy with regard to spending and the Red Sox? And is there a philosophy? There's 70 some odd million bucks to spend, and we understand kind of your philosophy on building from the inside with younger players. Are you in a spend mode? Does ownership want you to be in a spend mode? Where are you at this morning on that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I think the best way to answer it would be this. As far as I know, it's certainly been the case since I've been here, and I can't speak to what came before, but that's as far as I know, it's been the case here for a long time. There's never been a hard and fast number that, hey, it's got to be this, but it can't be a penny over. I think that our ownership, we're blessed with a group that has always wanted to take advantage of great opportunities and has done so over the years, when it's made sense. Now, we've also seen over the years, not just in this organization, but around baseball, sometimes you get a little bit too overzealous and you turn a good opportunity into a bad opportunity because of where the price point goes or because it was done at a time or in a position that didn't really fit where you were. And it creates problems down the road, and those problems actually make it harder to win. They make it harder to build the right way around, the constant flow of young talent that every organization needs to win consistently. So, that desire to go take advantage of those great opportunities is always there. I think that's always been there. I've competed against the Red Sox for a long time. We always knew they were going to do that they were going to go for the kill when it made sense. But we were most afraid of them. I can tell you this as a rival when we thought they were doing it in a way that made sense, not just doing it to hit a number or doing it to get headlines, but doing it because it really fit with what they were building.
Chaim, every Joe Schmo on social media or every radio show can talk about what you should or shouldn't be doing during the offseason. But I always wonder about the veterans in the clubhouse. And is there ever conversations where a player could come up to you and say, I really think we should do this, or I'm disappointed we didn't do this? Does that ever happen?
It does. I think that's one of the things that personally I missed during the lockout, was that obviously those conversations couldn't happen. Now, obviously, we weren't conducting business in terms of player transactions either, but you like to be able to talk to guys, especially guys that are invested here, guys that have chosen to come here, want to be here for a long time, have committed to being here for a long time. I think that's so important as an organization that we are accessible to them and that we're open with them about what we're doing. Now, some guys want to talk about it more than others. That's up to them. Some guys would rather just keep their heads down and work. We respect that. But one of the things that I like to emphasize is that I'm always around to talk. I like to be as open as I can with our guys. They don't, that's true when it deals with their own careers. It's true sometimes when it deals with what else we're doing. Sometimes we see eye to eye, sometimes we don't, but you always want to be accessible. It's actually something that, I've only been here now 2 seasons. And I think between COVID and the lockout, I think that has gotten in the way to some degree of my being able to do that as much as I'd like with our players. It's something that I personally prioritize and have always prioritized in my career. We're all in this together. We're all human beings here, and people want to know what's going on at the place where they work. We all want that. So I think it's important that we be accessible to our players for that.
Chaim, you were hired on October 25th, 2019, and since then, the biggest free agent acquisition you've made is 2 years, $14 million for Kike Hernandez. Are you saying that there has been no other free agent available that made sense for this team in that span? It just seems very different than the way the Red Sox have been run through many administrations over the last 20 years.
No, that's a fair question. I think obviously when I first got here, we were in a bit, repositioning a little bit, and had much more of a longer term emphasis at that time. Obviously, we still want to have a long term emphasis because we want to be good for a long time. But there are plenty of different things that we've explored, that we continue to explore. Obviously, in hindsight, you could pick 1 or 2 of those things, and maybe you could say, well, we should have pounced on that. But you also could pick probably 10 or 12 that we did chase down, and we say, thank God we dodged a bullet there, and we were better off, getting the guys that we got. So I do think that's a fair question. It really comes down to me, again, it's not about looking to hit a dollar figure for dollar figure's sake. It's looking to build this the right way. And that includes, in a market like ours, that includes, big investments when they make sense, whether that's a big investment in somebody from the outside or a big investment in one of your own players.
I felt like Kyle from Waltham was a great fit here. How close were you, if you were, to getting him here long term?
Tremendous fit. Yeah, you guys saw it. I know there was a lot of skepticism when we acquired him, and it became quickly clear, why we did that. I don't want to get too deep into, where exactly we would expand, et cetera. But, suffice it to say that, obviously a really, really good hitter. But just at the level that went to, and how our club is configured this year, and, looking ahead, to what we want to accomplish during the years that he would be under contract. As much as we love him and respect him, we just didn't think that was the best use of the great resources that we have.
And just, I know you don't want to get into specific details, but when it comes to Devers, there were reports that you weren't essentially talking. Is that a guy you want here long term, and do you expect him to be here long term?
Yeah, I think I've been pretty clear on that. This guy is a center of what we're doing, and we want him here for a long time. Obviously, we're just getting back together. We literally had our guys here for less than a week, so there's a lot, happening at once right now. But he's certainly someone who we want here for a long time.
Chaim, you talked about approach, right? And I think, from the outside looking in, we tend to look at how a team does certain things. With, we talked about with the Patriots and how they're doing things. Down in Tampa Bay, you had a specific approach that you took when it came to spending money. Now, being with the Red Sox, is the approach that you took down there, is that more of who you are, or was it more because of the circumstances and ownership where when you're in an organization, like you said, the Red Sox, they're willing to spend money? Is that something that you also would be willing to do, or is it more of the way that you've kind of approached on, not spending too much that could ultimately backfire on you?
Yeah, I mean, every organization is different. I think the reason that the Rays have had success and are going to continue to have success is because they're not worried about other people's circumstances. They're worried about the situation they're in and how to thrive in that situation. And that's why they're successful, because they're not trying to do something that works for someone else that doesn't work for them. Our circumstances are different, and we should be doing the same thing in terms of maximizing our situation. So obviously, our resources are different, our market's different. So, that brings different challenges, but it also brings different upside. And, I think when you look at it, obviously, I came here at a time when the organization has been spending a lot, continues to spend a lot. We've had one of the highest payrolls in the league, without getting too deep into it. I think that's clear. Now, I know a lot of those commitments were made before I was here, but they still are commitments nonetheless. And the organization's backing up those commitments. And obviously we had a pretty deep run last year on the strength of some of those. So, I don't think there's anything about this organization that indicates that, there isn't financial backing. I think it's always about whatever resources you have, how do you use them in the best way? And that can be, in our situation, across a wide spectrum of investments. And we want to, dominate the whole arena. Since I've come here, we've been able to do a lot of different things up and down the organization, behind the scenes. Ownership has been tremendous in investing in that area and helping us to be elite in terms of what we do behind the scenes to acquire and develop talent. That's important too. And then, we know we're going to have the resources to back that up and help the team as we go along, and we see those great opportunities.
Chaim, there's been a lot of rumors connecting the Sox with some big names, like Freddie Freeman, for example. Obviously, he's not coming here. He's going to the Dodgers. But were there truth to those rumors, and what happened there?
Yeah, I never would want to get into any specific rumor, regardless of whether the player is signed yet or not signed yet. I think the short answer to your question is yes. The longer answer is, there's always a mix of, what's the right fit, both for the player and the organization. And like I said, I think, we want to pursue everything that could be a fit for us. We want to make sure that, that it actually fits, that it fits roster-wise, that it fits on the terms that it would take, and that it's not in the long run actually going to make life harder for us, because it allocates resources in a way that doesn't allow us to do better things that we should be doing. Obviously, you don't always, it's not like you're ordering off a menu. This happens over a period of years. It happens on a rolling basis. Players have different desires, different things that they want to do. So, you make those decisions in real time. But, you've seen it over the years. You've seen it longer than I have here. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is to make the wrong sort of investment. And sometimes the best thing you can do is to make a really good one. So those are the things that we try to net out, whether it's a small investment or whether it's a really large investment.
Chaim, you want to chime in if you?
Yeah, Chaim. Hi, I'm Chris Chaim. I took over for Ken Laird here on the show.
This would be chiming in with Chaim.
Yeah, Chaim to Chaim.
Okay,
the perfect
yes,
connection.
Okay, all right.
So Chaim, I just wanted to ask. Seiya Suzuki ended up signing.
Sorry, Chaim didn't go to Yale though.
No, I didn't. Big difference there. Seiya Suzuki ended up signing with the Cubs. I was curious if you guys really had any interest there, if you had a lot of talks with him this offseason.
Yeah, he's, obviously has been well documented. He's a really exciting player. We've seen what he was able to do over in Japan, being one of the best players in that league. A guy who contributes on both sides of the ball. There's always risks. There's always challenges acclimating to the States for different guys. And so some of the work that we do is to really get under the hood and try to see as best we can, which players are going to be able to really handle that well, which players are going to handle it, kind of in a normal way, which players might handle it less than normal, the players that come over there. You look back a couple years ago, you have a guy like Otani, who I think came over here and was even better than anybody expected because of how uniquely gifted he is. And then there's been some players that have come over here and have not been. At the end of the day, this guy's a really good player. The Cubs made a significant investment in him. It's going to be interesting to see it play out. We like the guy a lot.
All right, Chaim. When it comes to making a belly flop type splash, should we expect it first from the Red Sox or the Patriots?
I don't know enough about what the Patriots are working on to answer that question. Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I've said this a lot. To me, you don't make the splash to make the splash. You make it because it's the right move.
Yeah.
That's what we're focused on. That's always what we're going to be focused on.
Probably the best way for me to ask it is, are you sitting here looking at this team and what they did last year as what they should have done, or do you believe that they overachieved a little bit last year and you need to add?
I think almost any team, unless there might be some exceptions, but you can't with any team in baseball sit there at the beginning of the year and say, hey, on average, we expect this team to get 2 wins from the World Series. Baseball's just harder than that. It's almost no team can sit there, and if they're really honest with themselves and, looking at the odds realistically, to say that. You have to have things go your way no matter how good you are to get that deep into it. We all know that. We see great, great teams every year that you think are, ticketed for a World Series that fall way short. So anytime you go that deep in the playoffs, it means some things went right for you that you might not have been expecting. The thing that I'm happiest about with last year is a lot of what happened, not all of the good things that happened, but a lot of the good things that happened in a way that was really consistent with what we're trying to do, which is to try to do this so that we're not a flash in the pan, so that we are building towards, being able to have that environment every year. And we were able to add some guys to the core that we have that you could say, okay, this guy can help us carry this forward. This guy can help us carry this forward. That's the thing that I think is most important about what happened last year, is what it means for those players that join this, help push us forward. And now it's on us, whether it's from outside the organization or from within the organization, to keep adding to that, to keep building that core, sustaining that core, because what we had last October, that's what we want every year. We just want it for 6 more wins.
Well, great. Well, thanks for being with us. What is it?
I was just going to give him a piece of advice. Carlos Correa would look good. Xander the third, Devers the second. I think you got a pretty good infield right there.
If you're hiring Chaim.
Yeah, that's a pretty good infield.
He talks a lot.
All right. Well, listen, I'm sure we all agree that it's great to have a Red Sox game today. So I'm sure you're as excited as anybody.
I am. I'm hopeful I actually am able to escape my office for at least a couple innings to go out there and watch it.